Hey, buddy. Can you help me give some real estate advice?
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 2 of my real estate talk series where I give my professional takes on different real estate topics. On today's video, I'll be giving you my opinion on what we should be asking on when you're interviewing your potential real estate agent. Some of these questions will also work when interviewing a lending professional, so just tweak them a little bit and make it work. But before we get started, if you don't mind, hit that like button below and subscribe to this channel, and also hit that bell notification. I would definitely appreciate it. And now, let's talk real estate. Alright, I have a lot of confidence in saying that almost everyone knows a real estate agent, and I would not be surprised if you're related to one. But before you blindly go ask your Uncle Jim to find your next property or sell your home, you should interview him, and that it's all about you and not the other way around. So if this helps at all, then use these following questions as a starting point on what to ask to make sure you feel confident on who you choose to be on your team. Now let's jump into the first interview questions. And that is number 1, are you fully licensed in the state of? And are you full-time or are you part-time? Now, this is a very basic question, but it's a very important one if you're interviewing a complete stranger. There are a lot of shady people out there, so you need to cover all your bases. You also shouldn't sell yourself short in using someone who's just dabbling in the business. Finding someone who's invested in full-time can be extremely beneficial since they'll be immersed in the industry on the daily. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking anyone that does this part-time. Everyone has to start somewhere. But your time is extremely valuable, so make sure to answer any questions you have at all confidently, regardless of their employment status. Number 2, are you experienced in the area I'm interested in? Typically, you would want to work with someone who knows the area very well. It'll even be a bonus if they're local to the area. They'll know any potential discrepancies in the area that may be helpful in your decision-making process, and they're just not blindly searching for a home that's just in your price range. On the flip side, if they're listing your property, then they'll be able to accurately price it fair and have a quick sale that's a win-win for both parties. By being local to the area, they'll be able to know the general price ranges in certain subdivision and how accurate those prices are. But even if they're not local to the area, there's enough resources out there at their disposal for them to still be beneficial. So with this one, you kind of just have to trust your instincts. Number 3, communication. Are you a texter? Maybe you prefer emails, or better yet, you enjoy a good old-fashioned phone call. You also have to ask them when their business hours are, because even though they're realtors and they make their own hours, some have dedicated working hours to have a good work and life balance, and to only call them for emergencies outside of those hours. But whatever your style of communication is, just make sure it matches up with your agent. Just like any relationship, communication is key and it will dictate the rest of your experience. So make sure this one is as clear as possible. Number 4, what is your approach on winning a multiple offer situation or selecting the best offer? If you're interested in buying a property, chances are there's someone else that likes it just as much as you do. Having a bidding war is very common in this industry, which is why it's important to ask your agent on their approach to winning one. And if you're selling a property, then you're going to have an influx of all different kind of offers. This may be a loaded question overall since not all deals are the same, but ask them to give you some examples of some tough deals that they've been in and how they overcame and won those deals or chose that best offer. You may or may not agree on how they went about it, and you wouldn't want to put yourself in that same situation if it ever came down to it. Number 5, how much do you charge? If you're a buyer, in most cases, the real estate agent actually gets paid by the seller of the property once the home closes. So, as a buyer, a real estate agent is actually free for you to use. Now, I say in most cases, and that's because what happens that after months of searching and you're unable to find that perfect property, well, some realtors will still want to be compensated for something for their time. So ask them what their minimum is, but from my experience, most realtors will charge you nothing if they're unable to locate a property and just banking on the idea that they'll be able to find you the perfect one. Now on the flip side, if you're selling a property, then the average rate to sell a home in today's market is around 6% of the sales price. Now that 6% will be split between the listing agent and the buyer's agent. So be prepared that if you're selling a property, to be expected to take about 6% off the sales price at the closing table. However, everything is negotiable, so that 6% could technically be any number. But a disclaimer, some brokerages have a minimum percentage, so just figure out what it is. And if you do decide to pay a different percentage, then please keep in mind and not to short your realtor. There's a lot of work that goes into selling a home, so we're definitely well worth the investment. Number 6, may I talk to any of your past clients? For this one, you don't really have to ask them unless you really feel it's necessary and you're having trouble making a decision. Most real estate agents have a profile somewhere online, whether it's on their Facebook or Google business page, or even some home search websites such as Zillow or Realtor.com. These profiles will usually have some type of review from their past clients. So your best bet before meeting them in person is to do as much online research as possible. Number 7, do you have any connections with any home services? Now, the point of hiring a real estate agent is to lessen the stress on yourself. So a well-connected agent will be its weight in gold. Make sure they know a good home inspector, lender, real estate lawyer, to even roofers, movers, and cleaners. Now the last question, but the most important question, which is number 8. Why should I pick you? So this question should be the hardest for you to decide if you're interviewing multiple agents, but should be the easiest for the real estate agent or lender to answer. Just as I stated earlier, they're trying to sell you a service and need to win you over and not the other way around. Their answer needs to be confident with a good foundation of their process, and more importantly, it needs to be genuine. Alright, if you're not vibing by the end of the meeting, then most of the time you should just go with your gut and just keep interviewing other agents. And that's all I got, guys. 8 simple but effective questions to ask when you're interviewing your next real estate agent or finance professional. Once you have a solid realtor and lender on your team, then your home buying or selling process will be more enjoyable than a chore. If you like my opinion on today's topic and haven't done so already, then make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that like button below so I know that I'm doing something right. And if you have any other real estate topics you want me to touch base on, then drop a comment below and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye now.